Well, hello friends. We've got some catching up to do. Alright, so this week I just wanted to kind of take a step back and look over a whole bunch of the stuff that's been going on over the past couple of weeks, because it's been pretty crazy. I just want to make sure I get a chance to, talk about this stuff and kind of give my input on it, because that's more or less what I do in these things. So, big news, first of all, for Tankspot is that we are now part of the ZAM network. If you're not familiar with ZAM, that's the same group of people that runs Wowhead, WoW Interface, a couple of other sites like that. So really, really big name sites in the community, and we're now a part of that as well, which is awesome. It's fantastic. They're a great group of people, and it's awesome to be working with them. You may have already noticed, if you've seen the press release about this, that if you go to Wowhead, you actually go to their, like any boss page on there now, there's actually a videos tab that has all of our video guides for that boss in there. So pretty cool. Looking to do a lot of stuff like that moving forward in the future, and also this helps us branch out to doing videos for more than just boss encounters as well. Just looking into, we're not totally decided on everything we're going to do yet, but looking into doing stuff like maybe some 5-mans, maybe really important quests. I don't know yet, but we're going to be looking into doing a lot more than just encounter guides moving forward, so that should be pretty cool. Next up, if you haven't seen it yet or haven't signed up yet, the opt-ins are now available for the Cataclysm beta. Now, how you sign yourself up for that, or make sure that you're signed up for that, is you go to battle.net, you log in with your Battle.net email address and password. Once you get in there, there's a little thing, it has a StarCraft 2 logo right next to it right now, but there's a little thing that says beta profile settings or something like that. You click on that, you make sure that the Warcraft box is checked, and you make sure that you've sent in your system specs to them, and then you're basically entered. You're in the pool for people that can be randomly selected to play in the Cataclysm beta. So if that's something you're into, definitely check that out and get that set up so that you have a chance to get in. Alright, now last thing I want to talk about this week is I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the professions changes that were announced recently, because there's some interesting stuff in there. Not a whole lot of information, but some of what they did say has some interesting implications to it. So let's go over those, shall we? So first thing I want to talk about, more reagents. If something takes more reagents to build, you're getting more skill ups for it. Not the biggest of game-reaching changes, but it's pretty interesting to think about it, because it means that while you're leveling up, you may actually want to be crafting some of your own gear, making the stuff that's actually good and useful in your skill tree, instead of just spending 20 skill points making buckles or something. I don't know, but that's interesting. Bigger change. They're making elixirs good again, from the sound of things anyway. The exact patch note said, well, I guess it's not a patch note, but it said new elixirs will be about 75% as strong as flasks, so you can get more total stat points with 2 elixirs, but flasks will still be the best at giving you a single offensive or defensive stat. I'm more or less reading that as 2 elixirs is the I really want to kill this boss thing, and a flask is the, well, we're just doing farm content, I don't really want to blow through all the elixirs, or we're probably going to wipe a bunch, or, just generic, hey, I feel like being a little bit better. Sounds like it's going to be a lot more how things were towards the end of Burning Crusade, where most of the time, if you're just clearing farm content, or, first night of working on a boss or something, you pop a flask. You're going to be wiping a whole lot, you pop a flask because you're going to die a bunch. If you're just going through stuff that doesn't really matter, you pop a flask because the elixir's a little bit more expensive, and it's cheaper just to have the flask up for the hour or 2 hours or whatever. In Wrath of the Lich King, that changed. For most classes, there's a couple of classes that you still want to use elixirs for sometimes, but for most classes, you just pop the flask, and that's all that matters. As long as you've got 4 or 5 flasks, or however long you raid for, you're set for the entire night. So this is kind of an interesting thing to me, because it means we can go back to that sort of, okay, we're really in hardcore kill the boss mode now, everybody switch to using elixirs instead of using flasks, so that we get that little bit of extra oomph behind everything that we're doing. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Hopefully it doesn't lead back into the crazy, ridiculous farm fests that we had for a lot of Burning Crusade. That's kind of why they moved more towards flasks in Wrath of the Lich King, is because, 4 flasks is not that bad. I mean, the Frost Lotus has been kind of annoying to get, but the mats aren't terrible to try and farm up. But you know, if you've got to get 20 elixirs for one night, that can be kind of frustrating. So just something to keep an eye on as we hopefully move into beta in the next few weeks here. So next thing I wanted to talk about, lots of glyphs are being reworked. They came out and confirmed it and said, yes, there's going to be a whole lot of glyphs changes happening because we're having to change a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's important to note. Also, they said that they're going to be going through and looking at the minor glyphs and trying to fix up some of the disparities between different classes over whether or not you actually care about your minor glyphs. Some classes, like for example, I'm a paladin, I don't really care. I've got Sense Undead and the rest of my minor glyphs I don't really care all that much about. But a warrior, for example, some of their minor glyphs are almost as important as their major glyphs. So they're going to be going through and looking at all the minor glyphs and pretty much just trying to make sure everybody's getting about the same benefit out of minor glyphs, just so to kind of even things out across the board. So that's cool. Gems are being reworked a little bit. Hit is now blue, which makes blue kind of useful for, you know, people who need hit. Mastery and dodge are yellow. Right now dodge is red, and obviously mastery isn't anything at the moment, but they're making those yellow. I'm not completely sure what the idea behind moving dodge to yellow is, because, well, I guess there's no defense anymore, so that makes sense. Okay, so dodge is now instead of defense. Presumably parry will still be red. And intellect is becoming red to replace spell power because there's no more spell power. So that leaves me with a couple of questions just to kind of keep an eye on as we continue to move forward. Excuse me. How important is gemming for hit going to be? If it's all on your gear as it is right now, oh, excuse me, I got something stuck in my throat here, making it hard to talk. Anyway, if hit is going to be all on your gear like it is right now, then that doesn't really change anything. So my thought there is that they're going to be using, because we already know that they're going to be changing around hit a little bit. They're going to be making it so that you need more of it for higher tiers of content. So it makes me think that perhaps DPS classes are going to need to actually gem for hit a little bit more than they are now. The other question is, how important is mastery? Are we going to be wanting to match up those yellow gems with the mastery in them, or are we still going to want to stick to whatever our red gem, or, you know, go for haste instead of mastery in those? So that's going to be more of a class per class thing, I think, or spec per spec even. And we're still, even the mastery changes that we've seen so far, they've basically come out and said, yeah, we're not married to any of these yet. We don't really know exactly where we want to go. We want to get some of it done in testing. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on as we move forward, and hopefully as the beta starts here soon, to be able to kind of see how important mastery actually is. Now, the last profession change to talk about is potentially a very big one as well. Bandages are being made awesome, like just ridiculously awesome. The example that they gave in the little preview they put out was the Dense Ember Silk Bandage, and they said it's going to heal for 34,800 over 8 seconds. Compare that to a heavy nether weave, which is like 9,000, 8,000, something like that. Not much at all. So the bandages are healing for a whole lot in Cataclysm. On top of that, they're not like just a sit there and channel for the whole time sort of deal anymore. Instead, it's a short cast time. I'm guessing probably around 1.5 seconds, more than likely. That's just my guess. Maybe even less than that. But short cast time, and then it applies a heal over time effect to you, so, and that breaks if you take any damage. So I'm kind of curious to see how this ends up working out in raids, especially with the way they're changing the healing game to make it so that healers are actually caring about their mana more, and maybe not necessarily wanting to cast that big raid heal. Maybe, you know, they don't want to spend all that mana on something. So, you know, boss has a big AoE. Maybe the correct way to approach that AoE is, okay, boss did this big AoE, everybody use your bandage and heal yourself back up to full with your bandage. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. That's a lot of healing. I mean, 35,000 over 8 seconds is just huge. And I know that hit points are going to be going up across the board in Cataclysm, but even then, like, that seems like a really big jump. If hit points go up that much, I will be shocked. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on as well moving forward. Alright, so that's going to be it from me for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Come back again next week where I have hopefully more awesome jibber jabber and hopefully less choking to death. I don't know completely what that was, but anyway, I'll see you next week. Catch you later.